As long as there have been people, they have been killing each other. However, it seems that organized combat did not emerge until the Neolithic era, when some communities started cultivating and establishing permanent homes. Based on archaeological evidence, Neolithic warfare developed from short-lived skirmishes and massacres to larger-scale, more complex battles. Rise of agriculture, rise of warfare. The Fertile Crescent saw the emergence of agriculture about 12,000 years ago, and even in places devoid of crops, human numbers rose. Warfare does not require agriculture, although it is certainly made easier by it. Until yet, scientists have not discovered any solid proof that organized combat existed before the so-called Neolithic Revolution, but it's known that basic combat started shortly after. According to a 2016 study, for instance, a massacre occurred approximately 10,000 years ago in the Kenyan region of Lake Turkana. The victims had cracked skulls, arrow wounds, and bound hands. This has to be the most trustworthy first-hand account of a slaughter. These people are hunter-gatherers, but with some food storage and likely lower mobility. Massacres demand a higher level of organization and preparation than tit-for-tat raids. They usually appear when people move from active to inactive lives. Approximately 7,000 years ago, there was a massacre in modern-day Germany. It seems that the attackers tormented their victims, breaking their shin bones among other things, before killing them. There have also been discoveries of similar Neolithic killings in Croatia, France, Germany, and Austria. In the meantime, in 8000 BC, the people who lived in Jericho, one of the oldest towns on Earth, constructed city walls, ostensibly to keep away attackers. Such Neolithic fights were thought to be a mixture of rapid assaults or short raids, generally lasting no more than a few days and affecting no more than 20 or 30 individuals, according to a November 2023 study published in the journal Scientific Reports. Extended fighting begins more than 5,000 years ago. However, the study, which examined the skeletal remains of 338 people who perished in northern Spain 5,400 to 5,000 years ago, suggests that at least some later, Neolithic fighting may have been more intricate than previously thought. When these remains were inadvertently discovered in 1985 by a bulldozer, it was initially thought that they represented yet another Neolithic massacre. The study's authors concluded that a protracted conflict had lasted months or years, albeit, after closely examining the skeletal injuries, which disproportionately afflicted males and were mostly non-fatal, something not seen at other Neolithic mass fatality sites in Europe. It's possible that military and agricultural advancements coexisted during the Neolithic era. They had to work together to irrigate the land. This cooperative spirit gave rise to armies. They had a lot to defend, of course, as they were guarding their farms. In the Middle East and elsewhere, copper tools and weaponry started to replace stone axes, spear tips, blades, and arrowheads. Early civilizations in Mesopotamia and North Africa had created sizable armies with official leaders, chains of command, discrete units, and supply systems by the time the Bronze Age rolled around in 3300 BC. These literate artistic cultures could record their military expeditions. For example, the so-called Standard of Ur shows an advancing Sumerian army from about 2500 BC with troops and wheeled wagons, while the Narmer Palette shows an Egyptian conquest from about 3000 BC. Outside of Greece, large-scale combat took longer to arrive in Europe. But by around 1200 BC, a battle along the Tollens River in Germany involved perhaps 4,000 combatants. Armies likewise developed in places like Peru, Mexico, and China. Throughout the world, warfare had begun to resemble what it is today.